In 2018, a 23-year-old man returned to Vermont for the holidays. Craving solitude and adventure, he decided to go camping alone in the Appalachian woods. He'd come across a strange location mentioned in an old forum, an abandoned lodge deep in the forest, completely isolated and accessible only by an unmarked trail. Curiosity got the better of him. That morning, he packed up, drove to the edge of the forest, and set off on foot. It took him nearly 2 hours of hiking to reach the place. What he found looked more like a house being swallowed by nature. The roof had partially collapsed, the walls were covered in moss and rot, and the air felt heavy. His original plan was to sleep inside the lodge, but something about the atmosphere made him change his mind. Instead, he pitched his tent about 100 meters away. As night fell, a suffocating silence took over the forest. Then, a thud. It came from inside the lodge, the distinct sound of something moving, or someone. Cautiously, he grabbed his lantern and approached the building. He had left the door slightly open earlier, but now it was shut, and on the wooden surface, long scratches, deep, uneven, as if carved by claws or a knife. He reached for the handle. The door wouldn't budge. It was being held from the inside. A cold shiver ran down his spine. He backed away and returned to his camp in haste. But when he got back, his fire was out, snuffed. Not naturally, deliberately. He scanned the woods. Nothing, just shadows. Then, from the trees, a soft laugh. Distant, yet somehow close. He was being watched. He felt it in his bones. Without packing properly, he grabbed what he could and fled through the woods. But all the way back, that same eerie laugh echoed behind him, weaving through the trees. He never found out what was living in that lodge, but he knows this much. That night, he wasn't alone. In 2020, a young woman moved into a rental house in rural North Carolina. It was old, isolated, and surrounded by dense pine forest. She needed peace, somewhere quiet, away from people, to finish her thesis. The house had a strange energy from the start, but she ignored it. That was until she discovered the basement. Behind a rusted metal door, down a narrow staircase, she found a room that hadn't been touched in decades. Dust, cobwebs, and a massive mirror leaning against the far wall. It was tall, nearly the size of a door, with a thick, ornate wooden frame. But what disturbed her wasn't the mirror itself. It was what she saw in it. Her reflection was off, just barely. Sometimes, the reflection blinked a second too late, or smiled when she wasn't smiling. She tried to laugh it off, chalking it up to stress or lighting, but the more she visited the basement, the worse it got. One evening, she noticed her reflection was wearing something slightly different, a sweater she hadn't worn in years. Another night, she turned to leave and saw a reflection still staring, not moving, just watching. That night, she covered the mirror with an old bedsheet and locked the basement door. But at exactly 3:12 a.m., she woke up to a crash. The basement door was wide open, the bedsheet gone, and in the living room, right by the fireplace, stood the mirror. Her reflection, now smiling, unblinking. She left the house that night and never returned. The landlord later told her there was never supposed to be a mirror in the basement. No one knew how it got there, or what came through it.